Welcome to this webinar about FERPA and the 21st Century After School Program. This information was gathered from the United States Department of Education and from some additional sources, the Wallace Foundation and some other after-school groups. And it deals specifically with how the 21st Century Program will relate to FERPA. First off, what is FERPA? FERPA is the Family, Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And it's similar to HIPAA that governs medical records. It's to protect privacy. So the U.S. Department of Education has made information. Because originally, when FERPA was written, they didn't have a lot of the online data systems, and this change was made to enable FERPA to remain viable and yet allow necessary data to be put into some electronic systems. So one of the things they've done is they've permitted the use of data programs. The new guidance rescinds previous restrictive interpretations. It authorizes an authorized representative as being any entity or individual designated by a state or local educational authority or an agency headed by an official listed in 99.31 who's involved with federal or state supported education programs that are not under their direct control, as long as those agencies are involved in a federal or state supported education. It's a nice table that at a glance shows you some of the differences about data sharing. In the past, over on the middle left, you can see that the old interpretation didn't allow any sharing of data. Here's a presentation that was done October 24th, 2012 by the U.S. Department of Education on FERPA. Again, there are some exceptions to the general consent releasing data, and what programs. Organizations conducting studies for specific purposes on behalf of schools. Those are the two provisions that would apply to the after-school program. So again, any entity or individual designated by state or local authority or an agency headed by an official What is an education program? It's any program that's principally engaged in the provision of education, including but not limited to early childhood, elementary, secondary, post-secondary, special ed, job training, career and technical ed, or adult education. And program, Title IV Part B. There's also a studies exemption for the studies conducted on the behalf of schools, districts, institutions, or possibly administering student programs, and all with the goal of improving instruction. One of the things you really need to have is a written agreement for data sharing, so that anytime you're providing student level information, you've got an agreement in place. Now, the only information you should be sharing is information necessarily need to get everything that a district would have on students, but you need to get the information that's required for you in the 21st century program to enter into PPICS. So, reasonable methods that you're going to use this data only for your program requirements, your data entry into PPICS, and that you're going to be respectful of the student level data and destroy the records when no longer needed. Not the records in PPICS, because that's a federal system, but certainly we expect you to dispose of that hard copy with student information on it when you're done with your report. Okay, audit or evaluation. Data can be released in connection with an audit or evaluation of a federal or state supported ed program, or for the enforcement or compliance with federal legal requirements that relate to those. You should be able to get the student data information. The information must be protected and must be destroyed when no longer needed. In summary, access to data is only allowed for specific purposes, and that entering your data into PPICS is this is what the online PPICS data system looks like, and it's the profile and performance information collection system. Here's a checklist for FERPA. You should have a signed agreement between your local education agency and community organization that's running a program. You should designate a specific data person. I think it's always a good idea to inform parents anytime student data is being used for whatever purpose. And that you must not keep student data on file, but you use it only as long as you need it to complete your PPICS reporting. If you want more information, you can go to the U.S. Department of Education, which is where I got this. There was also a file share with supporting documents and this entire PowerPoint presentation. That'll be available on the Iowa After School Alliance wiki site,